What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to Leafs Digest. Breaking down some news out of Leafs camp today that Mitch, Marner, Ritchie and Engvall have been placed into COVID protocols. And I mean, as far as that goes, there's not much more to break down there. We are 2 players more into the number of total guys on this roster that have gone into the COVID protocols. And now I will break down the first thing here. And that is, I just put out a video about Ritchie clearing waivers today, how he can go to the Marlies and then be assigned to the taxi squad. Now, I did a whole bunch of research on it myself. Josh did as well. So we can... As far as we know, from the Toronto Sun and the Toronto Star, it looks as though Ritchie being sent to the minors, he gets paid a different amount of salary. He comes up, he's somehow eligible to fit into the taxi squad restrictions of $1 million or less. Do not ask me how. I am still currently working on figuring that one out, but according to both of those sources, that is the case. And then I was a little bit confused about how it would work, but both tweets from Jonas Siegel today saying Ritchie is joining the Leafs at practice today. Appears he'll stick around with Mitch Marner and Ritchie and Engvall in protocol even after being placed on waivers yesterday. And then another tweet from David Alter saying Ritchie placed on waivers yesterday, practicing in a regulars jersey today, which would all indicate that he is somehow going to end up on this taxi squad with all these rules, all these complications implied. He's finding himself back into the roster tomorrow against Colorado. So, I mean, I don't think there's much more to dive into on that front. That is as far as Josh and I have been able to figure out with this confusing taxi squad situation. Now, as far as it goes, though, he is only allowed to be on it for 20 cumulative days until the All-Star break, and then after that, it resets, and then players can be on the taxi squad after the fact. But as far as we know right now, Ritchie will be into the lineup tomorrow against Colorado with Mitch Marner and Ritchie and Engvall being placed into COVID protocols.
So, I mean, it works out pretty well. We bury a lot of that cap space, get to bring him right back up, and we ideally won't really need him so long as we get all of our guys back from COVID protocols, people stay healthy. That's according to plan. So hopefully these 20 days we get the most use out of him on that cheaper rate. Of course, he's guaranteed his money, but it's all about what the cap space is doing because the Leafs have enough money to pay out someone underneath the table or not on the cap, whatever you want to say. But yeah, it is a little bit confusing from the standpoint of, I think about last season when a guy like, I'm blanking on it, Nick, the sniper, we had him on the taxi squad, brought him up for the playoffs.
Robertson.
Yeah, Nick Robertson. I almost said Nick Ritchie
Sorry,
again.
man.
That's my bad.
I blanked on it too.
Yeah, I don't know. I do that every time we're filming a pod. Like, I'll forget someone's completely obvious name. Just, it happens whenever you're on camera. But anyways, Nick Robertson, taxi squad last season. We end up bringing up for the whole playoffs. So I think he only played that 20-day eligibility during the regular season. But you guys saw it. We rolled with him throughout the first round, which unfortunately didn't last more than 20 days. So I guess we didn't really test it out that much. But I'm curious what this Ritchie move is going to mean for our playoff depth, because the whole entire redeeming factor, Phil, that we outlined about Ritchie staying with this team, although the rate sucked, it was going to be cool to see if he could fit into playoff hockey. We always want grit and skill combined into one player. It's how the NHL playoffs go. And Ritchie, I know the skill side is so much lower than we had hoped for, but we had some redeeming hope that he could come in and impact the playoff series. I don't know if we can still do that with him in this current situation, but I'm very happy that the Leafs have alleviated some of that cap because we are pressed at the moment.
Yeah, well, here's one thing I think to think about, and it's very interesting that this particular player ends up on protocols, and it's kind of, I talked about in the last video that I just put out about how with Ritchie doing this, it kind of gives the Leafs and Ritchie the best of both worlds, where, as you just mentioned, he's alleviated from the salary cap, now the $2.5 million, and then on Ritchie's side, he still gets paid $2.5 million. So he's not losing money, and the Leafs are freeing up some space. Now, with him getting to go back into the lineup here with Engvall in protocols, who's the one guy that he's really competing for a spot for at this point? Because, I mean, you look at the top 6, you've got Bunting and Kerfoot sliding in those left wing spots. Mikheyev comes back. He's playing incredible. He's not losing his spot on that left wing. If Ritchie wants back in here, the guy he's got to take that spot from is Ritchie and Engvall, and so conveniently, the day after he gets put on waivers, Ritchie and Engvall enters protocols. This is kind of Ritchie's, hey, let's showcase what I've got and prove that I can take over Ritchie and Engvall's spot on that fourth line. And the almost sad part of it, but the understandable part from the business side for Ritchie and Engvall is, like, he's done nothing to play himself out of the spot. He just got COVID. But for Ritchie, this is the opportunity to say, hey, I can go in here and I'm going to be better than Ritchie and Engvall has been this year, and I'm going to show that in these next games that I've got.
Yeah, he's got an opportunity. It's like another last chance here for Nick Ritchie. Like the you did not deserve this opportunity if you're Nick Ritchie necessarily, but just by complete chance, it's popped up and you do have a
The
lifeline
day
here to get back.
after.
And it's crazy. It's a crazy coincidence, but I
Yeah.
do wonder, how his ego's feeling. And I'm not saying he's like a, guy who's egotistical or sort of thinks too highly of it. I don't know if this has damaged how he feels about playing with the Leafs because clearly they don't think he's worth the money that he got in free agency just a few months ago. So that's got to be a little bit of shot to your pride. But however, I think it's going to be a make or break situation. Do you
Mhm.
take that shot to your pride as motivation, or do you take it as a damn, like I really don't belong? Like, because it can really go one of two ways. Nick Ritchie so far hasn't been impressive. So crazy critical trial period here. I'm just happy that even if it doesn't work out, our ideal lineup will pretty much stay the same. And cheers to Pierre Engvall, man. I do need to give him his credit. He's over delivered completely.
Yeah.
I didn't expect this from Pierre Engvall at all. And he wasn't bad last season, but he's gone from being like not just surviving in the lineup, but having nights where he's a clear impact player and he just does exactly what he's told. Super coachable. I got to give him his respect. And I understand why the Leafs are looking at him like at his rate, we'd rather have him than Ritchie.
Oh yeah, it's completely understandable.
Yeah.
You look at salary, that comparison, his is more favorable than Richie's. Then you look at how he's played this year, and it's not necessarily that what Pierre Engvall brings is more important than what Nick Ritchie could bring, because I think that's kind of where we have to look at it, because Ritchie has underdelivered, and if Ritchie was performing at his peak, then yeah, you're gonna want him in there over Engvall. That being said, he's not, so you can't look at that. What Pierre Engvall has been asked to do, he has executed 100%. Like, he is limit your mistakes. You're on the ice for 6-7 minutes a night. Limit your mistakes. Skate fast. I mean, like, that's such a simple, stupid thing to say, but like, you're a fast skater. Skate fast. You're a bigger guy. Use your size. He's doing these things. He's not over forcing or over like using I
Compensating.
can't even think of what the word would be right now, but like, you know what I mean. He's not
Yeah.
intimidating anybody from his size or overpowering. That's where I was going with that. Sorry. Overpowering anybody, but he's using his size of what he has, and he's doing that night in, night out. Now, moving away from Ritchie and Engvall, I am going right back to my tinfoil hat and putting this on again. I talked about it in the game after Edmonton, or after the Edmonton game. My goodness, I can't spit out words right now. This is the last point of this one. If the Leafs power play tomorrow night against Colorado, the first power play unit just goes out there and they start snapping the puck around and they are lighting it up, Josh, are you willing to jump on board with me and say that Mitch Marner needs to get the hell off of that first power play unit? Because I am already at that point, and if it goes back where he's out of the lineup and PP1 is just nasty on tomorrow night, I'm sold. Like, get him off the power play.
Yeah, there's a pretty compelling case for it. And even people in the comments are saying, I like Spezza running that power play more.
Yeah.
There's a multitude of players who I think have moved the puck around and fit the natural vibe of our power play better than Marner has because he's so puck dominant. We have so much skill. And I think I always say it's a double-edged sword. He holds onto the puck too long,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes that pays off because he puts other defenders out of position. He's got great vision. He's got great skill. He can make those plays, but when you put yourself into like not fundamental hockey situations, which he does all the time, there's a high risk factor and it's not paying off too much. So I don't know. I'm starting to drift toward maybe I would be okay with it, but I think I definitely would be. I do see the value in it, but part of me is still so like attached to pushing for Marner to be the guy
Yeah.
because I know he will be. I just know it. Mitch Marner is going to be a point getter in this league to the day he retires. If we were to trade him today, he'd go off. Like he'd go crazy. I just think he's got so much skill. I understand that the practical hockey IQ, physicality, like some of that stuff lacks at times. I shouldn't even say hockey IQ really, but you get what I mean. Trying to do too much. I still want to stick with Marner, basically just ride or die with Marner because I know he's so skilled and he's done it before on the power play.
Yeah.
But right now, to get things clicking, if I can see some evidence against Colorado, then maybe you guys can convince me.
Yeah, I'm honestly so in this like perspective of if tomorrow night they go out there and goody, I swear tomorrow night if we score on like the first power play that we get, I'm gonna be going nuts. Like I'm gonna be like freaking out, like texting you. Just I'm done with Mitch Marner on the power play. Not even on the lineup. Like he can play in the lineup, sure, whatever. But on the power play, done. You're done. That's it. I'm done with him on the power play. It's just like
Man,
for me, I'm just like at the point of they were playing so well without him on the power play. He comes back and then that first power play unit isn't really doing anything. And now if he goes out and they start doing stuff again, I'll be like, there's your problem. Identified.
Well, and I'd be stupid to just what's the definition of insanity again? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome.
Yeah.
If we switch things up again from Marner, which we will naturally, he's out with COVID for this upcoming game, and it works out on the power play, then okay, like I can't deny facts. I'm not going to be completely oblivious, but I think even most fans hearing me speak right now about Marner's skill and upside, and if we shipped him off, what he would do and what he'll be regardless.
Yeah.
I think most people agree that a couple years down the road from now, when hopefully we have a cup under our belts, we're trying to contend routinely, Mitch Marner will be that guy. Like Mitch Marner won't be going anywhere from power play one for too long, is my point. Maybe it's working better right now, but he's a power play one guy. He will be in his career. It's just like for the time being, it is apparent that other strategies, including Jason Spezza on the first power play, have been working better.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's about all we got for this update, breaking down Mitch Marner and Pierre Engvall going into protocols. Nick Ritchie getting an immediate chance to show what he's caught again and just kind of try to prove himself and prove any worth that he might have.
I got to give in one last point here. I forgot to mention this. I have such a rough comprehension of this at the moment. It's pretty vague, but what I'm reading about the 2022 taxi squad rules are you have the 20-day period to pull up a taxi squad player before All-Star weekend, and then you get another one after. Maybe we did mention this. I don't think we did. So obviously playoffs, I'm still not entirely sure how his eligibility would work for that. Mm-hmm. But at very least, you will have 40 days total in this regular season to use Nick Ritchie at that AHL rate. So I just got to say that as like a concluding statement, but I don't say it with much conviction. I need to do some more in-depth homework on this.
Maybe we'll do, but in an upcoming episode, we'll do like a full deep dive into the taxi squad and just like sit here and just go over line after line of what the taxi squad is, what the rules are there. But that will be in a video coming down the road. So if you want to see that, if you want to see more about the taxi squad, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that like button after you leave or before you leave this video. And also let us know, is Nick Ritchie going to show out tomorrow night? Does Pierre Engvall deserve to lose his spot? What do you guys think about that whole situation? And then lastly, is Mitch Marner the problem on the power play? Let us know in the comments below before you leave. Leafs fans, we'll see what goes on tomorrow night. The Colorado Avalanche are absolutely flying right now, defeating the Winnipeg Jets 7-1 the other night. They are a force to be reckoned with, so it'll be a good measuring stick of how we are this season and how we do against top-notch NHL teams. We'll see you guys after tomorrow night's game against the Avalanche. Keep believing.
Signing off.